Welcome to part 6 of the Zenith 6D-525 radio. We're using the Sony DSC W830. Went to the our local thrift store this morning. I cannot find a polarized cord without going to Walmart and buying a heavy, thick cord, which I don't want to use on this. So I had no choice. I paid $1 for this. I didn't want black. I wanted brown. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to butcher this, and these plugs here, at least in my opinion, are hard to get. And I really don't want to cut this up. So we'll keep this off to the side. I looked again in my box. I don't have any polarized brown cords. So I'll be forced to get a heavy-duty one and be forced to drill this out much larger. And I don't want to do that. I made the connection, which I really didn't want to do that way, to the rubber-covered wire, which goes to the common negative, the negative of the electrolytics down there, because I want to keep that little loop open. And I don't know if you can see it. I can't see it in the viewfinder. I can see the red wires. But anyways, maybe you can see it. Because again, I never know enough to put my damn reading glasses on when I'm using a camera to look in the LCD, so everything looks out of focus to me. But there's a loop down there which I pointed out earlier, and off that loop is a rubber covered wire which is pretty well bare in that area, and I hooked and pinched the black wire which goes to the switch that I added because I'm modifying this so it is switched to hot. And what's holding me up is a proper power cord, but I'm going to have to use this. Or use clip leads. And that's probably what I'll do, is I'll probably take this here, clip it in there. Of course I use extension clip leads. So now that I got that common negative wire there, I'll be able to clip to the switch here and then to the common negative. And that's the only thing I've got to be careful I don't short anything out here. There seems to be more show and tell than anything else on this radio. I'm going to fire it up. I did fire it up off camera. And unfortunately, strange. The 35Z5 that was in here lit up in my Radio City Products 308 tube tester, which you saw on the bench on the other video, but does not light in the radio. So when I put my ohm meter on the pins, and I got to remember what pins are there, and okay, I have to make notations, because on these schematics, they do not give you pin numbers. So pins 2, 7, and 3. 3 is a tap on a 35Z5, okay? I got open readings on from 2 to 7. But yet the tube lit in the 308 tube tester. When I put it in here, it did not light. So I had another 35Z5. Those I seem to have. And I did locate a 12SQ7. I think that's it right here. But this is the one that was in the radio. Now, I had my settings wrong, as I made a big notation in the video description of that video. I think it's the last one. So if you read it, you wouldn't need to ask any questions about that. And it was my stupidity as getting the settings wrong. You know, you have to be very careful with that Model 308. There's settings for the K, which is cathode. There's settings for filament. Then there's A, B, C, D, E, F, I think, settings for the tube selector on the 308 tube tester. And I had that wrong too. Because what I'm doing is I'm reading the tube setup chart, then I'm going back to the tube tester. And then, you know, when you look at stuff on the chart, you cross-read and you read some other tube setting. It's very easily done with me. That's why I like the roll charts. And you just read across the line. But even then, I said it wrong. So this tube did not light in the 308 because I had the settings wrong. So the 12SQ7 is good in here, a little weak. But the 35Z5, it's strange. It lights up in the 308 tube tester, so I said, I guess it's all right. But when I put it in here, the damn tubes didn't light. So I had another 35Z5, and it's in here, and it lights. Okay, off camera, and I'll be running this test again. I had it on my Variac, had it on the isolation transformer, brought the voltage up slowly. It drew under 200 mils. And I brought it up to 115 volts, and all I got on the B plus is 96 volts. 96 volts is all I got. Now the schematic says all voltage measured from chassis to whatever you're measuring. So it's not telling you to go to the common negative. And when I did that, there was no change in voltage. When I took my common, my negative lead of my voltmeter and clipped it on the common negative, and then took my readings off the electrolytic, I got the 96 volts. When I took the common lead off the voltmeter, my negative lead, and put it on the chassis, I still got 96 volts. But that's all I get out of it is 96 volts. So, anyways, for some strange reason, that tube tester showed the 35Z5 as being good, and I got an emission reading out of it. Figure that one out. I have no idea, but 2 and 7 was open. The tap to either 2 or 7 from pin 3, which is the top. And again, they don't give you the pin numbers here. I have to write them in. So I have to keep referring to the tube manual. So I got a reading at one point and not at the other. Well, anyways, what we're going to do is I'm going to change the dial light on this. We don't know what dial light it uses. This is the clear schematic. You can see that it's very clear, and I can read the symbols for the capacitor and resistor location as well as the values. I got to do this off camera. I got to get my magnifier out, and I got to check this and replace the bulb. If it's a 47, I have it. If it's a 44, I have it. Okay, so we're going to do that off camera. And we're going to put a bulb in here, then we're going to fire it up. Now, every time I say the word fire it up, I think of Terrell Fixes All. Fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. That gets a little irritating. But every time I hear that word, all I think of is Terrell, because I do watch his videos. Okay, so we're going to remove that and we're going to see what it is, because a lot of times these bulbs blow out very quickly if the tap is bad in the 35Z5. So we're going to change that. The radio was extremely weak in the audio, extremely weak. You can just barely hear anything out of the speaker. And needless to say, I made the test here and I got nothing. No noises at all. I know the antenna thing is not on, and that reminds me I got to put some Duco cement on the coil wires on the back. And I think that instead of using hot glue, I'm going to use some Duco cement. I should have enough for that. So I should have got a good audio on the volume control with the screwdriver, and it's just barely audible. But maybe it's because I'm only getting 96 volts on the input filter, and after the choke, I'm getting 80-something volts, 87 or something like that. So that, to me, is too low. But the 35Z5 tests very good. It's very strong. This is a replacement. Alright, I'll get back. We're going to hook this all up. We're not going to put this cord in right now. I don't like working with clip leads hooked in other than hooking a meter up, because it's too risky for shorts. But I'm going to have to do that so I can do something. But as far as tracing it out, and so forth, I'm going to need a cord on this. And I don't want to butcher this up. But I'm going to look in my box and see. But if I have another one, it's not going to be brown. It'll be black. And it's just not going to look right. Strange. Pilot light 63K, whatever that means, 150 milliamps, or 0.15 amps. Never seen a bulb this size with a filament like that. It looks like a 120 volt bulb. Of course, I can't see the number on that, but that's nothing new with me. So that's not a 47. Number 6, it don't tell you anything. Number 6, Pilot Light 63K. Pilot Light 63K, I've never heard of that. Now, it can't be Pilot Light 6.3 volts, because they would have a V there, and that's a K. If you're looking right at item number 100-87, image 6, Pilot Light 63K, 150 milliamps. I'm going to rotate this around. I'll have to look on the video after I get it in the editor, as I can't see that. I had a magnifier on that, my reading glasses. I cannot see that. Just in case it's printed upside down. So, I think it's burnt out, regardless. I can't tell. So I put it back in. I'm pretty sure it's looking under my reading glasses and a magnifier. It looked like one part of the filament's disconnected. It looks, the internal construction of the filament looks like a 120 volt Christmas tree light, which would be 100, like I say, 120 volts. but much smaller, so I don't think that would really make a difference. But what we're going to do is fire this up. Fire it up, fire it up. And we will put the voltmeter on. We're going to have the voltmeter already on the B+. And where's my pointing stick? Well, we got a screwdriver here. I guess that'll be all right. So, we're on the clear schematic, by the way, which you can plainly see the center one is the common negative. Comes right across here. There's still a mystery as to why this here is not connected here. In other words, there's no dot there. But as I mentioned, and I mentioned so many times, if I take an ohm meter from this point here, right here, where the switch would go, okay, to the common negative of these electrolytics, I get a half an ohm, and that's resistance through my extension leads of my meter. So it's essentially connected here, even though it doesn't clearly show here. I'm not going to rack my brain on this anymore, but I think a lot of you will agree with me that even this one here is marked very good. Very, very good, but there's still no definite mark here. Definitely no dot anywhere here. So apparently this line goes from this right here and directly up here with no stops at all. But it can't go to the middle because that goes to the filter choke. So obviously that's my mistake. It goes to the middle up here, and then it continues up here to the top one. So this is the common negative, and man, I'll tell you, I don't know. Enough of this. This is wasting a lot of my time. All right. Well, that's the way we wired the switch underneath anyways. So, but why am I getting only 96 volts? All right, let's fire this up again. Hook it up. I'll be right back. Okay. I got the meter hooked up. And I screwed up here. Good thing I caught myself. I had the neutral on here. The hot goes here. The neutral used to go here until I made the wiring change. It's very, very tricky in here. These leads can short out. That is why I don't want to do it without the power cord soldered in place. So I've got the isolation transformer on, and the variac panel is down to 0. And we're going to keep a very close eye on the current. $40 volts. $45 volts. We got the amp meter over here too. We just don't want any sparking. I just worried about that clip right there, with my fingers pointing to the blue wire, because it's an uninsulated clip, because I don't have a small insulated one. And it could short out very easily. So we're going to go up now in voltage. 55 volts. I can't see if the tubes are lit. I can't spin this chassis around. I'll short everything out. We don't seem to be getting any B+. We are connected. Measured from chassis is the minus. The plus is over. And on to the electrolytic, the input filter. I hope the 35Z5 didn't burn out. 70 volts. Not getting any. I got DC last night. This radio has got me puzzled, I'm telling you. I gotta stop this video. I gotta get my face up on top of the 35Z5. It should be lit at 70 volts. I got the camera upside down here, so I don't even know if it's in the viewfinder, but the tube is lit. But I'm not getting any B+ at all. Stupid me. I shouldn't be in this hobby at all. I had it set to millivolts. I don't ruin the meter. I don't know. I'm getting 69 volts now. Damn, I can't see what I'm doing. Thought I had it on volts. And I had it over here, where my finger is. I'm getting 69 volts now. Alright, let's bring the voltage up to 90 volts. 87. Current is fluctuating between 100 mils and 200 mils, so it's probably close to 200 mils. All right, let's bring it up to 100 volts. 91. That seems to be pretty low. The 200 mils now we're drawing. Let's see if we can see it over there. They don't always jive, but I would trust the analog meter over this thing. 88 volts. All right, let's go to 115. Go right up to 115 like I had last night. Exactly 115, 200 mils. Sorry if I'm getting off screen. I'm looking at the meter over there and I can't do two things at once. 97 volts. So we gained a volt from last night. So 97 volts. Is that enough? All right, now. Very, very, very weak. Getting more hum on this side. It calls for a very small capacitor. I think I'll increase that. I always increase the coupling capacitors on radios anyways. So the capacitor off the it goes to the volume control, and find the volume control. There it is. I got to do this off camera. I can't see that. Off the volume control slider is C4. C4 says 0.01. I can't read that. Let me get a 0.01 out and I'll show you what these caps. Yeah, they're 0.01. They're only 100 volts. And they're in with my 630 volts caps here. I don't remember where I got these from, but they're very flimsy as far as the leads are concerned. And it bends very easily. But the fact that I get a good hum on this side of it, and a very weak here, and the volume is all the way up, tells me the hum, the 60 cycle, the capacity is too small to pass it. So I need a larger one. That's 01, maybe an 047 should go in there. So that would probably give me a little more volume, but still in all, don't hear anything. I can't turn this over to turn the dial or anything else. The volume is all the way up. The switch is good because I'm going through the switch. The switch is turned on. But I really need to get a cord in there. And once I put this cord in, I cut it. And I put this cord in, I'm not taking it out. Even if I find a brown one later on. I hate doing that. I like to keep the radio as looking as original as possible. And I can't put this one back on because it's not polarized. And to put a polarized plug on here and the wire is stiff as hell anyways would look like hell. So I can't win. I just don't have the cord now. And I'm going to have to maybe go out and buy one at Walmart. And it's going to be very heavy, very thick. And what bothers me is getting it down inside the little loop that you may or may not be able to see down in there. And I depend on that because I have to push it in the loophole and tack solder it on. But I need it to shove in the hole. If the conductors are too fat, in other words, the strands are too fat, it won't go in that little opening, and therefore I'm going to be struggling with it, and solder's going to be going all over the place, shorting out. You know how that goes. Well, you don't know unless you're blind like me. Alright, bridging this little guy here with another 01, even an 047, didn't seem to affect. It's still louder here than here. But the volume is all the way up, so in other words, whatever resistance this volume control is, and I could look it up on the schematic, is making a difference here. So this is an 01. I thought maybe I might have put a too small a value, but that's what it calls for. At this time, we'll leave it. We're getting very little. Now, yes, it's no antenna on here. I know that. The antenna loop coil is not on. But nonetheless, the audio should be louder. It should be humming a lot louder than that. So I got to do some work. I can't do any more until I solder the line cord in. This is too risky working like this. So this is going to end part 6. I'm sorry I can't give you a little more progress on this, but I just can't. I just don't understand that I'm running 114. We crank that up a little bit. We're at, well, I gotta put the bolts on here and make sure I got my meter on the proper range. 95, 96 volts, you might as well say. So, alright, we're up at 119, which our line voltage is usually around that most of the time, sometimes lower. But 99 volts. So that's the most it's been. Whether that's normal for this radio, I don't know. I gotta check. I don't think they give voltage readings on this. They might. I gotta look this over. I gotta do this off camera. So that's going to end this video. We'll shut down our supply here. I just don't like working like this with the power going in. I mean, putting clip leads on for the meters is fine, but to run the power like this, no, it's not safe. It's too easy to zap something. These clips can get into things. So this can't drag on too long. I can't troubleshoot it till I get the cord in, and like I say, I may be forced to put the black one in there because I don't have anything else. Or I got to go to Walmart and buy a heavy, thick cord because I can't get them. You can't get them thin anymore. This was what was in there, and one at Walmart, the extension cords that you cut the female parts off to get the the polarized cord part. The cord on that and the conductors are twice as diameter as this. So it's going to be very hard to work with. Alright, I'm using the Sony camera and I got to go change the battery here in it. So that concludes part 6.